All right, we live. Live. All right, hello, and welcome to the Lost Confederacy channel. This is week 2 of the 13-week fiscal program for American Prisoners of War. You have myself, Chief Biko, and today we have Chief Alligator. And here, as always, we focus more so on that first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. And today we will have Chief Alligator read off the 12 steps.
All right. American Prisoners of War, 13-week practical program of action for each American prisoner of war. Step 1, learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Step 2, who established that estate. Step 3, what tribe and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Step 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend, what's your position on reparations? Step 5, they either support it or they don't. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3. In addition, field trips to APOW landmarks in that city, county, and state are needed. Step 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Step 7, avoid spending money with any small business that doesn't hire your people. Gas stations, nail salons, subways, corner stores, etc. Step 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American businesses. Step 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our clubs, services, products, and entertainment. Step 10, the US government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold since Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off the full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American prisoners of war no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Step 11, teach your kids 1 hour a day about the history on this land. Step A, have them learn about an American inventor. B, have them know about our heroes. C, they should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. D, they should know the nation of people prior to European invasion militarily and culturally. 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming America and attaches us to the history and laws of the US government. Every estate American prisoners of war live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, 1 fiscal quarter, will bring us together for our common cause. The step for me today, if you go back to the steps, if you scroll up to the top, okay. For me, I'm not going to choose a particular step. I'm just going to say the 13-week practical program of action. That is what we call a forecast in the world of business, projecting into the future, or if you will, offense. So we've been doing this for over a year. And while we've been doing this for over a year, we have yet to see the Congressional Black Caucus, who is on the back row of the chessboard for this group of people, provide any forecast of what's going to happen in the future. So trends are the defense. When you look at trends, you look at what's happened over a period of time so that you can change, alter, or stop certain activities to get better results. So what we are a reactionary group. We play no offense. So that's what jumps out to me about these steps today. What particular step jumps out to you, Chief Biko, in regard to this group of people?
Shoot, a step that really stands out to me. And it probably would have to be number 9. Just kind of stuck out to me this week. Just knowing how everybody comes over here and, utilizes us as that consumer, whether it be on the business end or shit, the guinea pig for new, I guess you could call medicines, all kind of stuff. Like our group, everybody really much relies on our group, and we don't understand that, I believe, as a whole. Again, just everybody's relying on our energy, operating cash to survive. So, we set the trends, but it seems like our energy or our focus isn't focused on the right things in regards to us as a group. So I think if we were to do that and actually hone in on a specific task, like we're doing with 13-week or 12 practical steps, like these aren't hard things that we can't do. If we all did this and actually implemented and applied it, then we would be much better off. So I think number 9 really just stands out to me this week.
Chief Blackcoat, what about you? What step jumps out to you?
I'm getting in a little late, but I'm working off my phone. So let me see this week. Let's see. I think this week I'm feeling number 7, avoid spending money with small businesses that doesn't hire people, gas stations, nail salons, stores, etc. Only because we got to figure out, we have to understand how to come together in a way. And coming together comes in many ways, but it definitely, if we practice like everybody else, they practice revenue and they practice their money within and in home. So just one thing that we got to work on doing better, spending our money at home, and we can get that down, then we can move on to better things and bigger things. So I think number 7 stands out this week.
Let me ask a question. So how does that, in a practical sense, how does that really look? Because we don't own any gas stations, or the maybe couple that we do have. I guess what would have to happen is there would be a long line of cars at that gas station. So we would have to willingly be inconvenienced in order to just fund that particular gas station to make him scale. And
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I was full boycott this weekend. I was like, nah, if we ain't gonna fight, boycott is right there. Just boycotting everything that don't represent our people. A strong boycott. That's going to be our next step in order to get whatever we need. Reparations, bills of protection, anything like that. A strong boycott.
Yeah, you made a good point too, Chief Alligator, in regards to the inconvenience portion. Like that in itself, I believe if we can willingly be inconvenienced, that'll go a long way, because everything is at the fingertip nowadays. Shit, if you want to get something to eat, put it on your phone, have somebody drive it to you. So that portion would be a whole shift in the mindset. Like that's a whole being type of thing. Like you have to change completely. And if we were able or willing to do that in itself, like you said, wait long lines just to make sure that this individual who's an American, who looks like us, who's for us, is reaping all the benefits, that way they can scale out eventually to have multiple gas stations. That shit in itself would be mind blowing. That's when we would know, okay, yeah, it would be a problem. It would be a problem. Just say it like that. That's a great point. Next, we also have Chief Alligator with this week's inventor.
Okay, I'm gonna double back with the inventor from last week, which is going to be Leonard C. Bailey. And I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, it must be. Okay, here we go. Okay, can y'all see this? Y'all can see it?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, I'm gonna back out just a little bit. This is a combined truss and bandage. Leonard C. Bailey invented the combined truss and bandage, patent number 285545, September 25th, 1883. He was born 1825. He died September 1st, 1918. He was 93 years old. The design was later adopted by the U.S. Army Medical Board, which provided funding for Bailey's business ventures and future inventions. So this one stuck out when I was doing some research on him because the United States military took this concept from him. This concept is when you have a hernia, this is what this device does. So you can see, you would put this, see like they got the outline of the body. So you would put this on like a pair of drawers, and then this device down here would actually keep your body in a position where you're not aggravating the herniated area.
Oh.
So the two inventions that the United States military took from Mr. Bailey, adopted or took, was the folding bed that we did last week and the truss and bandages of this week. And he's most widely noted for these two inventions, mostly because the United States Army adopted what he did. And as we already know from last week, he also funded a bank. He owned many barbershops in the Washington, D.C. area. So he stuck out to me, and I just wanted to give him his flowers. I don't believe let me say it specifically, I don't believe his family receives any percentage of income from this invention. When we say this on a weekly basis, these families should be wealthy. Everybody who has one of these inventors in their family, that family should be royalty, just based off the fact that the world benefits from what these people have done. I do have an image to show you of him. Let me see. So here he is right here. Is it zooming in? Okay, let me see. Okay, can you see him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
So once again, every time we show one of these lords that created something, these people are very distinguished. They're business dressed, business orientated, suit and tie. So at this point, we've already debunked this everybody was a prisoner of war, or what you call slave, theory that, we come from nothing, we had nothing. These men were brilliant, mechanical and electrical engineer minded people. And we can see today because we're reaping the rewards of what they created.
Great invention for this week. This week's quote, I'm going to choose quote number 4 from Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And quote number 4 reads, "If the Negro could abandon the idea of leadership and instead stimulate a large number of the race to take up definite tasks and sacrifice their time and energy in doing these things efficiently, the race might accomplish something. The race needs workers, not leaders. Such workers will solve the problems with race leaders, which race leaders talk about, and raise money to enable them to talk more and more about it." That kind of just hit home, especially in regards to, kind of what we said that really stood out from the 12 steps, especially in regards to the inconvenience part. Hey, if we were, willing to sacrifice, that time and energy to make things happen, how far that would propel us as a group of people, just in regards to everything. In that example, just being able to sacrifice our time, our convenience, to make sure that we're, promoting or propping up an American, somebody that looks like us, in order to, benefit us as a whole. Spending money with them, even if it's going to cause us to go an hour and a half out of our way. Just making sure, hey, we're going to make sure we prop you up. That way you can scale to the point to where you can have them in all areas of our people. So I thought that was a good quote for this week. And lastly, I will go ahead and read off the legal definitions for this week. This week, we did go ahead and amend one of the definitions, went ahead and added an actual definition, which we'll get to. And that basically stresses or really puts emphasis to what we're doing on a weekly basis as a group, as a collective on this channel. So of course, legal definitions: American, is indigenous to America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Let me show my screen too. Either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who was captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. And 6 is education and enlightening experience. And a new one that we had is recovery. And this one pretty much brings true for our group of people and what we need to do, which is recover. And recovery is a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. The action or process of regaining possession of something stolen or lost. So that definition right there is can be unpacked in a multitude or a lot of ways in regards to our people. I'll just start from the first one, getting back to a normal state of mind. As Chief Alligator, alluded to earlier, we get this concept of, people that look like us, the Americans, being the slave, when that's not true. We've proven that within our other previous videos. We've shown the documents. That's why we don't get any pushback. You can't push back the facts. And so us, linking ourselves to that low status means that we aren't at a normal state mentally. Especially if we're showing you all the proof that, 1, we're not the slaves, and 2, we're the Americans, yet we have scholars who are saying the opposite. So what are their real agenda? Aren't we supposed to be promoting ourselves? Aren't we supposed to be lifting each other up? But you're steady calling yourself the slave. It doesn't make sense. It's a contradiction in itself. So a lot of us are mentally sick and need recovery. And it also just, again, goes to the health part, the health and strength. First, it got to start with the mind, and then everything else can go with it. So again, if we start looking at ourselves as who we are, which is the American, which is the indigenous people of this land, which are the creators of everything, all the industries, we did that. If we start looking at ourselves in that aspect, then we'll be like, okay, yeah, shit, we'll be past normal state of mind. We'll just be thinking that we are the superiors, because we always say white supremacy. Even that in itself, ain't nothing supreme about these crackers. So it's like, okay, what are we actually doing? So again, getting back to that normal state of mind. And lastly, the action or process of regaining possession. We got to regain our identity. We allow everybody to come on this land, step foot on this land, and say that they're American. If you don't look like myself, Chief Alligator, Chief Blackcoat, Chief Quiet Water, Chief Akibalan, if you're not looking like us, you can't trace your ancestry back. If you don't know if your great-grandparents came over from a boat or been on this land, then you're not American. If you can trace your great-grandparents from this land and trace it back further, you're American. But somehow we'll allow somebody fresh off a boat, somebody who just got paid $500,000 per head of household, to say, yeah, I'm American. Bro, you don't look like me.
All right.
So again,
oh no, I ain't want to stop you, Bill. I was just going. All of us need to build on that. Just what because we're a year past now. So when we look, But go ahead. I ain't want to stop you, Bill, Chief Biko.
Nah, shit, I'm gonna let y'all pick up, but that's one thing. Like, regaining our possession of something stolen or lost. So 1, we lost our identity, because again, we're thinking we're coming over from boats from Africa. Again, Africa's big as hell. They can't even tell you what part of Africa, but they'll say Africa. So we lost our identity as the American, and we got our land stolen. So we need a full-scale holistic recovery, both mind, body, spirit, land, everything. So I'll just let you all build off of that. But that was really a main reason why myself, as well as Chief Alligator, was like, no, we need to go ahead and put this definition in there. Because of course, me thinking recovery just means, you healing, but it's healing to what? That normal state of being. So I'll let you all pick up off of that.
No, you said a lot. I'm not going to discredit any of our ancestors that was enslaved. You see a holiday that just became well known down in Texas. Those are real plantations with real niggas on it, some of our ancestors. So, but the whole theory of everybody came from slavery, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now you said it with recovery. Malcolm X always said something, or he said something that I always loved, and I don't want to quote him, but he was speaking about the wound, and the knife is still inside, and if you pull it out halfway, you're still going to be damaged. You got to take the knife all the way out and then allow the wound to actually heal, and that's what our group needs. At the root, at the very root, we need a lot of healing, and you said it, mentally, spiritually, and physically.
Yeah, for me, it's just the power of looking up words, understanding what a word means. A lot of times for myself, I can assume I know what the definition of a word is, but when you look up the definition of recovery, when people tune into this channel and they hear 12 steps of recovery, like, what are they talking about? Yeah, now when you look at the steps and look at that definition of recovery, you understand exactly what we're talking about. You've forgotten that you're American, that in itself means you're out of your mind. You've completely forgot that your grandmother was from here. She didn't come on, so the military brainwashing, I can admire it on one side of the coin, then on the other side of the coin, it shows how shut out we are as a group of people, which is why we can get reclassified every generation from color to Negro to Black to Afro-American, because they've literally, for 8 hours, for 12 years of your life, got you to forget about your immediate family to even realize that it's a lie. That's powerful. Just tapping in on what Chief Blackcoat said about some of us were slaves. Some of us were on military work camps. We have to be careful with words. This wasn't slavery. We were military occupied. Even that holiday, that Juneteenth holiday, that was a military letter. A military letter cannot free a group of people. That's just further proof that the military was occupying those people, forcing them to work. And the military had to come out and say, your service is no longer needed. Right. You're free as far as being military occupied, you're free. Now, when it comes to the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch of this government, that's a whole nother thing. But we not occupying you no more, which is what that special order number 3 entails. So that kind of ties into what Chief Biko said, how these scholars are kind of playing with words and kind of playing with our emotions, making us believe that special order, that military letters are freeing us. You see what I'm saying? And it's kind of I was talking with some elders earlier this week, one from Mississippi and one from Atlanta. And when we got to the point of segregation, both of them admit that they're American. Their grandparents were Indian. So I asked them the question, well, how did you become Negro? What do you really call segregation? Was that not military occupation? And they're embarrassed to admit that that's what it was. They're embarrassed to admit it.
The scholars. They're scholars, and those scholar wants to be looked at as a slave. They're embarrassed to admit it. Met too many brilliant people to still be actually, I'm going back on my word, what I just said. I'm contradicting myself. Go ahead.
No, when you look at, you couldn't get on the bus. You had to sit here. You had to drink out this water fountain. Come on, that's not segregation is a term that a scholar neatly came up with. But no, that's military occupation. Yeah. What's the repercussions if you drank out that white water fountain? That's the question you ask. Could they kill you? Could they hang you?
Anything they want to, because you're a prisoner of war. You're being military occupied. You're being assigned to be in certain areas at certain times. That sounds like a prisoner to me.
Right. That's what I was saying. Yeah, these scholars, that prisoner of war word, I'm not, well, I mean, if we're talking about public education and all that good private education, then I can understand why most of our scholars don't actually reveal that truth, because yeah, your money stops then if any scholar actually got to that point of comprehension, because a lot of these scholars, they seem like they're so well programmed to this European education, they probably don't know. And I always battle with that. Like, do our scholars understand, the military occupation part?
I would say that they do, just based off of, the evidence we've been able to kind of even just
Scary.
get over. It's just like I feel like they don't want to, I guess, divulge that information or acknowledge that fact, because like you said, it probably hit their pockets. It's like, okay, I could tread water on this one, but once I say that, then it's gonna open up Pandora's box. I'm good, I could say slave, but if I say prisoner of war, then it's like, okay, what do you mean by prisoner of war? That means somebody's occupying us, right?
Right.
Yeah, hold on, okay.
Well, let's look at it, because it rhymes. When you apply prisoner of war, when you stand up, when you zoom out and look at American history from wars, that's a fact. And then you look at this group of people, and then you run down the timeline of American history with that theme that, okay, if this group of people was in wars, whatever happened with this group, and I'm just gonna tie this in this week, they're bringing up Emmett Till. That young man, that little boy was murdered in the 50s or the 60s. They're talking about locking up the lady who lied and got him murdered 60 years later. And you have people that are saying, well, she's in a nursing home. That's a prisoner of war. Your bar is set so low that even though she lied and got this boy killed, still afraid to incriminate the person that comes from a group of people who have you occupied. So it's further proof that you get moral when it comes to your justice, when they don't get moral when it comes to you. They'll shoot you 60 times on video and nobody's arrested. This little boy lost his life 60 years ago, and you're just finally trying to push the issue. It shows POW status to me.
It shows us how far off we are in our own timeline, shout out to finding her. But yeah, again, back to that prisoner of war mindset you were talking about. I saw a couple of people talk about, Black people, or, whatever you consider yourself. Why would y'all really want her to be locked up now? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. It don't matter what type of bullshit it is. Put her under it don't matter. That mentality is real out here, man.
Right. Because they'll give your cousin life plus 50, and they'll say, hey, he broke a law. But then reverse it to January 6th as we move forward. January 6th, another prime example. You watch these people commit federal crimes, and they're basically telling you nothing's going to happen.
Right.
So if you're not a prisoner of war, make it make sense to me. What is that? Like, how can one group of people lie on you and get you killed, storm the Capitol and no criminal actions, but you'll get a RICO charge because they believe you did something? Come on, man. Y'all help me out. Talk to me like I'm the slowest one in the room. Y'all help me.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, man. Proof in the pudding. Like shit. And like you said, we get morals when it comes to the European who's occupying us on this land, but when it comes to somebody in our group, oh yeah, he deserved to be locked up or something. Ain't nobody even died, but the case in example, the Bill Cosby situation. Oh yeah, Bill, that happened so long ago. Y'all still want him in jail though. But this lady who got one of ours killed.
But he did time.
You know what I'm saying? And he actually did time. Y'all was talking about, I mean, she's so old now, but it's like, again, what's going on when we match our energies. So that's a great point. I know we could talk about that all day, but I'm gonna move a little forward into the room historical points here, and we'll jump into the readings. Room historical point number 1, was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number two, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number three, Maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number four, Maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number five, Maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. And before we actually do that, we'll stop by into the Constitution. Because again, we have to hammer this home, guys. This is recovery. So until we all get this right as a group of people, we have to continue to reiterate these things until it's stick. Section 1 or Article 1, Section 10, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So again, as we state in the 12 steps, number 10, there is no money. Gold and silver was taken out in 1971 during the Gold Standard Act by Richard Nixon. And it's clearly saying here within this country, this government's basically a foundation in which, this government is set upon, saying that nothing can be paid or nothing is actual payable or payment of debts unless it's actually gold or silver. So until we understand exactly what the actual money is, we'll continue to be in this predicament as well. Article 2, Section 2 states the president shall be the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of several states. So going back to January 6th, again, we know this government is not going to eat itself. It's not going to arrest its people or arrest one of its branches, especially defense branches, just to make a point. So again, January 6th happened. We saw exactly on those videos how they said that President Trump called them personally to come out there. A lot of them were part of militia, whether it be the Proud Boys or some other group. So again, if the president is the commander-in-chief of the Army, Navy, and the militia, then it was seen that the president was actually exercising some of his powers in that case. But again, how they were greeted versus again, how we are greeted should show you again that we are being military occupied on our land. I'm not sure how much plain and obvious it can get at this point. And lastly, Article 6, the last contradiction of this government states this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So again, here, this just clearly states that that the treaty is the supreme law of the land, but again, that is not the case. A lot of these treaties, they did not even abide by. They were invalid treaties, you could say. A lot of the treaties we read earlier within the fiscal year that we have been doing this show or this channel, we saw that they were actually contracting with the military. Again, another example of us being under military occupation. So again, just multiple contradictions we can go through within this Constitution, as well as what's actually being applied in our current day, and show that this whole system is bullshit. So again, why even have faith in it? Just support your people and do what we can to make sure we survive. Last time we jumped into the Dawes Act, we stopped on Section 5, and I believe we stopped here on the provided however portion. So we're in the middle of Section 5. I'll go ahead and pick up the reading here. Can you all see? Good to go? All right. Provided, however, that all lands adapted to agriculture with or without irrigation, so sold or released to the United States by any Indian tribe shall be held by the United States for the sale purpose of securing homes of actual settlers, and shall be disposed of by the United States to the actual and bona fide settlers, only tracts not exceeding 160 acres to any one person on such terms as Congress shall prescribe, subject to grants which Congress may make in aid of education. And I'll stop right there here. So just to kind of briefly recap, they gave the American And let me mark this here. They gave the American, we scroll up here, each head of family 1/4 section. That was the max each head of family could get, 1/4 section. The minimum 1/16 of a section. And again, sections are acres. So we look at here, compare and contrast, people. If we're not prisoners of war on our own land, then what the fuck is this? So we get 1/4 section, 1/4 acre. And clearly what this says here, settlers, meaning Europeans, fresh off the boat, settlers shall be disposed of by the United States to the actual bona fide settlers on only tracts not exceeding 160 acres. So they'll give your ass, the American, at max 1/4 of an acre, but the settlers, who they're going to be bringing into these areas, a max of 160 acres. Makes sense. I'll let y'all go ahead and build off that.
Yeah, POW, you know, you got the birthright to the land, you get a 1/4 section. Somebody coming from some other country, get 160. And it's right here in black and white. That's crazy.
Yeah. For me, man, I'm just thinking about those commercials that we see of people in Africa, how you see them in those impoverished villages.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is inverse that and look at what they show us at. They show us in ghettos over here. This is where it comes from. They put you in a little sliver of the worst area possible. And then they give everybody around you the water beachfront property, the Buckhead property. This is what we're reading right now. 160 acres of the most pristine agricultural land. Put your ass on 1/4 of an acre on trash.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is powerful. This is what a colony is. This is what happens when a group of people become colonized.
Mm.
When military comes over from a foreign land and say, you're going to be here.
Colony.
Can you build on that, Chief Blackcoat? How that, how what we're reading is how you colonize a group of people.
No, and you just said it. You brought a new group over. You presented them with a massive amount of land. That's a new colony. You know, if you are I want to say contracted to this, specific land, yeah, a new colony. That makes exactly perfect sense because you're on a new whole land. So the things you practice there are going to change over here. Yeah. So you said it with this is how you make a colonization.
No, that's a great breakdown from y'all. Great breakdown. I'll continue here and provide it further that no patent shall issue therefore except to the person taking the same as an homestead or his heirs, and after expiration of 5 years occupancy thereof as such homestead, and any conveyance of said lands taken as a homestead or any contract touching the same or in lieu thereon created prior to the date of such patent shall be null and void, and the sums agreed to be paid by the United States as purchase money for any portion of any such reservation shall be held in the treasury of the United States for the sole use of the tribes and of the tribe or tribes Indians to whom such reservations belonged. So again, it kind of just is referring back to the Homestead Act. That's where they got that 160 acres from. And again, if we remember what we read in the Homestead Act, it said pretty much anything that you had from that 80 acres, anything kind of bordering that territory or pretty much that area of land, you can go ahead and lay claim to it as well. So that's what we're saying here, contract touching the same. But yeah, it's just going back, and that's why we like to go ahead and build how we do, making sure, we're in alignment with the timeline. Because again, it's just showing you how they're building upon what they already established in that Homestead Act.
And if you can just stop and think for a minute, these are tribes, but they're not going to get the patents. The settler's going to get the patent. And the portion that you read, it says created that no patent shall issue, therefore, except to the person so taking the same as an homestead. So let's look at what happened. Trail of Tears, they put you in Indian territory. They say that this is where you're going to be reserved to live at now. And now here we are in 1887, about 60 years later, that same government is now saying, nah, we're going to give the patent to the European settler. And we're going to give him 160 acres versus your 1/4 of an acre. We'll hold the money in treasury, right? So that European settler, he's not paying top dollar to get that 160 acres. So the United States Treasury is saying, we'll hold that money. So when that tribe comes and says, hey, well, if you're kicking me off the land, where's the money from the sale? Hey, here go $10. So what we're seeing here is paper genocide. The pen is mightier than the sword. That's the American story. That's the story of American history. We're literally watching it. The pen is mightier than the sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great point. Great point. It just rings true. Because shit, when it came to the sword, actual fighting, physical fighting, we were putting it to them. It was whooping their ass. But when it comes to these contracts and things of that nature, we see this is really what helped bring down our government, our Confederacy, our tribes. That's why one thing, you know, Dave Ramsey even says, don't contract with them. So
anything you want to build on that, Chief Blackcoat?
No, I was still stuck on colony and colonization, so I was over here deep diving onto that, and we were in alignment. That's exactly what a colony is. A group of settlers coming from another country. But my bad. Yeah, I was building. I was over here Googling.
nah, you good. Shit. No, you good. And great that you pulled that up just to see it. Nah, that's exactly what it is. Like you said, group of settlers coming over here, occupying the space of land in a new area. New, you know what I'm saying, new colony. So.
And isn't that what the military does? Like when they go to a foreign land and they say, okay, this is going to be our military base, they take them acres, right? And then they say, okay, well, we don't give a damn what you was doing on this area. You're gonna have to figure out. Hey, that's how it works, right?
Yep. Colonies are set out from political powers. So yeah, exactly what happens.
Okay. I'll continue here. Belong in the same with interest thereon at 3% per annum shall be at all times subject to appropriation by Congress for the education and civilization of such tribe or tribes of Indians or the members thereof. The patents aforesaid shall be recorded in the General Land Office and afterward delivered free of charge to the allottee entitled thereto. And if any religious society or other organization is now occupying any of the public lands to which this act is applicable for religious or educational work among the Indians, the Secretary of the Interior is hereby authorized to confirm such occupation to such society or organization in quantity not exceeding 160 acres in any one tract, so long as the same shall be so occupied. I'll stop here. So basically, again, these patents are going to be in the General Land Office. Definitely different from what we see now in regards to real estate, how those are now going through the banks. These are going through the General Land Office. There weren't any banks at this point or no any national bank. And it also rings here that any educational or religious institutions shall be on these lands as well. So again, it just rings true back to that the Indian Treaty, how they said, no, this had to be within the respective nations' territories. You had to have the religion and you had to have the education part. So now we're seeing the indoctrination be implemented into these areas. So we're going to make sure we're cornering you off one quarter section, and we're going to make sure that the biggest thing around you is going to be the church and the schools. Because it says here that the church and the schools still get 160 acres here.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing that you can get would be the church and the school, and it rings true today. How many times do we see next to our liquor stores or somewhere around, no businesses that's going to be productive for us as a people, but we're going to have them churches there. Them churches going to be on them corners. And you know the school's going to be on them corners too. Just that in itself, people, is like, damn.
Look at it from a military standpoint, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way to kill off a group of people without firing your gun.
Right. Make them docile.
Because you're going to make sure that you miseducate them, or you're going to make sure that they get off into a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're stuck today. We will not address the fact about, if I'm going to use the word policing ourselves, we will never address that. We'll say, and I'm talking about the scholarly of our group, you know, we're a peaceful people. No, we're not. We've been in every war on this land. We will fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is the lie they will tell themselves and then tell their students. We're a peaceful people. No, we are warriors.
Mm-hmm.
When you indoctrinate us through miseducation through the school system, or give us an ideology or a religion that tells us passive and wait on something in the afterlife, what happens is you live your entire natural life on top of the land, never fighting for anything. So it's strategic what they're doing because they knew they couldn't beat us. So how do you beat this group of people? Get them to think about anything but fight.
Facts.
Your thoughts on that, Chief Blackcoat?
Man, you said something that I had a thought. I did have something. You were just speaking about. I just lost it. It'll come back to me though. It'll come back to me.
What, making us focus on school and religion and not fighting, not arming ourselves?
Back to being a peaceful people. Why would this government allow us into their armies if we were such this peaceful group of people? You know, when it our men and our women. So that narrative is just, again, we're so blinded by the school system and the church. And shout out to Chief Biko. There's a church. It's almost amazing when my eyes open. It's like, whoa, why you got 100 churches just in a mile radius on one? So it's like indoctrination on top of the school system being probably the most important, and then that religious factor to kind of seal the deal on never fighting your oppressor. But that was my bill. Yeah, that whole peaceful. I'm seeing it more and more. Our spirituality is being attacked. We are being under some type of weird spell to where our group really thinks that we don't fight, and it's almost mind blowing to me because I've never known that, you know, coming out of high school and joining the military. So now that I'm older and I'm seeing everybody talking about pray, 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 it's almost mind blowing. It truly is.
Let me throw one more thing on there, which is a historical fact. On my mother's side of the family, which they have hundreds of acres of land to this day, guess where you buried at in the country?
On your land?
On the church property. The church is the cemetery. Behind the church is the cemetery. So you can see why the church got that land back in the 1800s. So yes, so look at the economics of it. You're gonna pay their God on the way out this motherfucker.
Shit. Yeah, you just said it right there. Yeah, you just said it right there.
And it's a mind.
When you go to the country, bro, that's where you get buried. You get buried.
You're right. You're right. It should be a dirt road, but it's gonna be a church, and you're gonna see a plot of tomb headstones back there.
Church your family grew up going to.
Yeah. Damn.
Because you go bury your family in the land that was taken from you on top of the indoctrination. So that whole little thing, damn, they're cursed.
Ooh. Yeah, that shit just like a spirit, like you won't even allow your spirit to be free.
Ever.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yeah, if you just look at it on that tip too, it's like, yeah.
And bro, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I got generations, like my grandfather, all his siblings, my great grandparents, everybody's buried behind this church. So look at the politics of it. My family has a lot of land, so they're gonna get preferential treatment from that local church.
Right.
You don't see a lot of other people's families behind that church buried. That's pretty much my mama's bloodline. Buried. Right. And it rhymes. That jumped out at me when you were sharing that. Yeah. That was the power of the church.
The burial land, yeah.
Yeah.
No more war sightings of where wars were happening and people would bury them there. Now it's all through the church because ain't nobody fighting.
That was a good point you made too about, if we wasn't these warriors, then why would they always want to recruit us? We go back to that Special Order 15. What did it say? We got to make sure we get that youth in our army, in our military, because we can't fuck with them. So it's like, and that's the whole thing of what we're doing on this channel is providing those documents to highlight, nah, we've been whooping their ass. Hell, they want us to join their forces. That's what Special Order 15 is. But instead, we look at Special Order 15 as 40 acres in a mule, when we should be looking at it in a different light, or at least stepping back and looking at it from a whole perspective. Okay, what's going on? They got different vocations. They can keep their vocations. So they was being military occupied. The only white people that's supposed to be in this area are military. They're saying we need to get their youth in our military. So it's like, okay, if we actually step back, remove all of the feelings and emotions of things and look at it for what it is, it's clear as day, people. It's clear as day of what we're going through.
It's clear as day. At this point, I know we're ignoring it. We're not even ignoring it. We're just it's like our brain is mush. So it's just bubbling and mumbling in our minds, just like a pan of Play-Doh. And we don't really know how to get firm yet. We don't really know how to. There's a lot of executions that need to happen in order for our group to move forward. And it does start with the revenue and the commerce, a strong boycott. If you niggas don't want to fight, you got to boycott these businesses. You have to. The power is within the business. Your big businesses, you're too big to fail. That's their powers. You take those infrastructures down, they have nothing left. What do you represent? You can't represent the land because you're not from here. So IBM, Microsoft, what do you have? And if we stop spending with them and let them tank, I think we'll do significant damage in order for us to get reparations, which isn't just money. It's just not money. But that's my piece on that part.
Anything on that, Chief Alligator, or are you good?
Only thing running through my mind right now as far as Chief Blackcoat, because he has the experience, so you have to lean toward that. I'm gonna pick at it a little bit. Why do we not want to accept prisoner of war status? Like what? Like
I thought you was going somewhere.
Why don't we want to just accept with all the violence that's incurred for the last 100 years, or we can just say the last 60 since they made you a citizen? Okay. Why do we want to walk around that reality? It's a sophisticated version of prisoner of war. Maybe I should say that, because when people think prisoner of war, they think a group of people in a cage drinking out of a cup. No, right. This is a sophisticated prisoner of war because you get the illusion that you're a citizen,
right?
But you're being ignored or benign and neglected. You're being ignored. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, one of my favorite teachers, Bobby Hemmett, he said we are childlike people, and they sold us on childlike things, clothing, Barbie dolls, and it's all preparation. Just growing up, we're just watching it and kind of like in a mindset of studying it. While we have accepted the PO, well, we won't accept that word. We'll cling to the slavery, but I think we have accepted that POW title, because again, mass incarceration, that's you. School prisoner pipeline, or prison school pipeline to prison, that's POW. So these things that we already know about, like you said, it's a sophisticated prisoner of war. They sold us on the Givenchy, they sold us on the Louis Vuitton belts, they sold us on the big chains, and who gonna be the biggest black person or the most popular black person. So this childlike spirit of ours, and children will fight with you, but we were sold on something totally different. We're now individuals. Everybody's for self. But everybody for self, and it ain't for self like I'm gonna protect my family. It's straight up self. like meat.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be difficult for us to, and again, that prisoner of war, it does mean, yeah, you in a cage for any other place in the world. Yo, as a POW, you in a cage locked up, and you getting rations and drips of water coming down from the fucking sewer. But and our group is a special group, dog. And special in all ways and all contexts. If it's not fighting, boycott, man. 90 days, we talk about it all the time. Can we really do that? I try to practice that shit, and I sit, and I'm always like, okay, can you sit this whole weekend? And then you got 1,000 things that come up on every weekend. So I see how our group is just so pulled left, right, you know, birthday, holiday, Six Flags. There's so many things that this group can be entertained by, and you add our childlike spirit at this loss. We're like the Oompa Loompas. All we're gonna do is, you know, make the work, do the work for the master, and then Willy Wonka, the chocolate factory guy, execute and get that bag.
So you touched on something. Notice how every time we talk about getting anything within this society, we're always looking at the group that's occupying us as, we always use the word they.
Right.
They supposed to do this, they supposed to do that. That's a prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't realize subconsciously, we never say, look, I'm getting ready to do this, and I'm getting ready to go ahead and battle intellectually, whatever, I'm getting this. No, we always come from a begging standpoint, as if you are a prisoner. And we don't even realize subconsciously how that sounds. That's not an affirmation. That's not saying you're going to get something done. That's saying, well, they ain't give us nothing.
Exactly.
You know, we ain't get reparations. You know, they won't give us, here we go, they won't give us a George Floyd Act. You're putting yourself in a subservient position to another group of people. We don't even realize that we're prisoners of war.
And that's the recovery portion. Like you said, that whole mind state of they didn't give, it's nah, I'm gonna go ahead and take this just because I'm a man and I can do it. You know, that's the whole mindset thing. Like you said, trying to, you know, well, we have to vote so they can give. No, just take like they did with your shit.
And we've known this. We've been doing this for a year. We've known this, and in that moment where Chief Alligator was building up, that ain't.
Say it.
You feel me? It's not good, but I'm glad we added that word recovery, because exactly, actually that word should probably be number one, and we trickle down. But yeah, in a recovery, yeah, I'm gonna just stop right there, man. Yeah.
It's needed.
Definitely. Yeah. It's like kind of like watching a movie, and we're watching that movie as the Lord watching the movie. So the movie is doing what it's supposed to do, and we're kind of, you know, not in control of it, but we're overseeing it. We're in that position, dog. We're in that movie, and someone's overseeing us, and that's not a good position to be in. And I like how Dr. Chief Alligator said that yeah. Woo. No, you said something powerful there, dog.
You're going to be looked at like you're crazy when you start to recover and you start fighting for stuff. It's hard to explain. It's like a court case, if you will. You know, our group of people are afraid of this system. If you go to that system and say, "Nah, I'm gonna go to war with them,"
right?
Nobody's gonna have your back. Go, oh, you're out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then you win and you come back out. they won't look at the fact that you fought and won. They'll say, well, you know, every now and then, you know, somebody will say, no, that's not what it was. That's where we are. We
Mhm.
know we're being deprived. We're not willing to stand up and just say, fuck it. If I lose, I lose, but I gotta fight. Because mumbling under your breath behind the scenes, that's not working. And that's how I look at our scholars and our Black caucus.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything. Before you came in, Chief Black Coat, I was saying that forecasting is offense in the world of business. You have to look ahead and say, okay, what do you want to get done these next 90 days?
Right.
Why is our Black caucus, that's the back row of our chessboard, why are they not saying, okay, here's the agenda, y'all. I know we didn't get the George Floyd Act. I know we didn't get the reparations, but here's what we're doing. You don't hear nothing from them niggas.
I was thinking about it this weekend.
So it's always reactionary with us. It's after somebody else gets on offense against us, then we get reactionary. Oh, somebody got busted 90 times.
Right.
And we're worse now than in 2020 because ain't nobody went to jail for that young man. And you shot that man 60 times. If that's not a prisoner of war, what is that? You've never seen an Asian man get shot 60 times on video and no cop goes to jail.
Sorry.
You've never seen a European get shot 60 times.
Bruh, we ain't seen that shit in the movies. So, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, we ain't seen that shit in fiction, but they'll show our asses in real life. You see what I'm saying? It's like,
And handcuffed him. Don't forget that part.
yeah,
And handcuffed him.
that's probably the most disgusting part right there.
That's
And,
what go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just thinking real quick, our politicians, how you just kind of touched on Chief Alligator. Fuck that woman that decided to twerk. I don't know who told her to do that. But if this shit ever gets anywhere, don't do that shit again. That's not our culture. That ain't. I understand where it comes from. I understand that that's what we do, but I'm tired of these politicians thinking they can just do some dumb shit. They're supposed to go give them our votes, but that's not what I want to touch on. I want to touch on being the prisoner of war again. These politicians are sitting inside of these walls where we think government is all this big, the whole theater. We're inside of this. We're already inside of the system. You would think at this point, when you see the 60 rounds to the body, that all our black politicians would come together or form some type of virtual or online thing to where they're telling us directly who they supposed to represent. Because if you're black and you're in government, you kind of want to go for your own. That's what I would assume. We don't see anything where they are like directly talking to us and what we should do to move forward, and directly talking to Black Americans. So whoever is a Black American or an American, regardless, inside that system, we don't see anybody directly saying, hey, in order for us to do this, get this done, this is what we need to do. They don't work for us because where are you? Why don't you only come out when the news comes on? Where are you on my personal time? Where are you on, for the next weekend after the 4th of July, which is their holiday? Now it's our time. Like, so where are these politicians? And it goes back to being a POW, because if no one's saying anything about you, you're supposed to be that. You're supposed to be that forgotten group. You're supposed to be like in that cage, and nobody talked about it. Just keep it alive, keep petting it, and nobody really talk about it. And that's all I wanted to do was touch on the politicians. We got to start holding them accountable for sure, because you don't work for us, and I know you don't work for us because I don't see you anywhere else until Fox 5 come on. And I don't even watch that. So I never see you. I don't know what you do, how you do it, and what you do it for. So there's no way you represent us. And again, that lady that decided to twerk, that's not who we are, and that's not what we represent. I'm not sure what the hell she was thinking.
Thank you for admitting that, as we'll try to push through this article. But thank you for admitting that, because what you just admitted was the Black Congressional Caucus is at the federal level. They're not representing you. Right. They're going to make Akron, Ohio a local thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Everybody
who's in politics from local, state, and federal level, everybody, if they were working for you, out saying, oh no, y'all got us fucked up. You're not going to be shooting at one of us 60 fucking
Is
times.
that-
Give a fuck what they did.
Right. And the fact that you haven't heard from your Black caucus at all, you just hit it on the head, Chief Black Coat. This is what it's a sophisticated version of prison. They're not telling you you're a prisoner of war, but they're showing you that you are. Because when you get the most heinous acts done to you, nobody says nothing.
Look, they had one retweet about the shit. Everything else about abortion and other bullshit. They had one retweet. They ain't even create the tweet, the Black Caucus on their Twitter. They retweeted somebody. And that was one time.
Still checking in on them. Okay.
Yeah.
And they retweet.
They didn't even create the goddamn thing. They basically reposted.
So, no, dog. I hate to laugh. My fear of death has left a long time ago. Right now, I'm just kind of looking at what's next for this group because it don't look good. It truly don't just look good, dog. Only being 28, looking at our timeline now, it's kind of like this shit is weird. Like this shit is weird.
All right, where we are in this article.
Shoot, we'll go ahead and continue trying to knock out this one. We almost on 6 anyway. I'll start here. I stopped off from there. I'll start here. So in quantity not exceeding 160 acres in any one tract, so long as the same shall be occupied on such terms as he shall deem just, but nothing herein contained shall charge or shall change or alter any claim of such society for religious or educational purposes heretofore granted by law. And hereafter, in the employment of Indian police or any other employees in the public service among any of the Indian tribes or bands affected by this act, and where Indians can perform the duties required, those Indians who have availed themselves of the provisions of this act and become citizens of the United States shall be preferred. So those Americans who have denounced their tribes and their bands to become a U.S. citizen shall get preferential treatment in regards to this. So if you're willing to, like we see a lot of our people, join the other side, become an officer of the law underneath the United States, you'll get preferential treatment. You still ain't gonna get shit, but you'll be a notch above your brethren who you'll be supervising or overseeing. And then we also see that this is granted by the law, basically having that religious and educational, and that law being the United States. They're saying, nah, regardless of what we said y'all can do on y'all territories, we gonna supersede y'all again and say, no, you need to have these aspects here within you all's nations or quote unquote nations.
Yes.
I want to just say, when we say stop support, American prisoners of war have lost faith in the United States government, which you just read as a prime example. This is a business. The United States government is a business. Its marketing campaign is saying, hey, if you want to be a citizen of us, here's what we believe in. We believe in homosexuality. We believe in pedophilia. We believe in illegal immigrants, right? Or immigrants in general. And we believe in, I don't want to say the WS word, but we believe in European nationalism. What we don't believe in is doing anything for the American. So when we say to have a recovered mind and say, stop supporting this shit, it's because it gives you nothing. It needs you to want to be Democrat, want to be Republican, want to be people of color, want to be an Afro-American. You have to vote for that. I want to be a part of that. That's what they're telling these Americans that are police officers.
Right.
Come over here and be a United States citizen, and we got 1/4 section acre for you. You see what I'm saying? It is hereby declared to be a citizen of the United States and is entitled to all the rights, privileges, and immunities of such citizens, whether said Indian has been or not. I'm sorry, we're in a different section. And hereafter, in the employment of Indian police or any other employees of public service among any of the Indian tribes or bands affected by this act, And where Indians can perform the duties required, those Indians who have availed themselves of the provisions of this act and become citizens of the United States shall be preferred. You're going to get special treatment if you denationalize yourself. Don't be a Cherokee, be a United States citizen. Don't be a Choctaw, come be a United States citizen. And that's what happened. So it's kind of like it keeps their hands clean because you volunteered for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
you sold your soul.
You volunteered to be a minority.
Mm-hmm.
I can call you anything, Chief Biko, Chief Black Coat. It's up to you to respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
So when they called us minority, we were in the wrong for even saying, yeah, I'll sign up for that.
Right.
Oh, you mean we'll desegregate and my kid can go to school with your kid? Yeah, but you got to be a minority. Okay, I'll do that. Well, then you volunteer for the shit.
Right. And that's just one of the ways. Now you said it. That's how they keep their hands clean. Just like the wars we fight, you volunteered for it. So all the people you destroyed, I wasn't there to do that. But no blood on my hands, blood on your hands. And that's how that corporation works. For sure. And
Great point.
Yeah, that's a
you
great
weren't drafted. Great point. You weren't drafted. Right.
You volunteered. Damn.
Volunteer.
And go back to what you were stating earlier, Chief Black Coat, we'll give you little toys and trinkets. Hell, you can afford your Charger or your Challenger car. You can afford, you can afford these clothes. Live out your contract and you be good to go. But again, we're not forcing you. But these are some things you can get once you do it.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. That's a hell of a psychology because you're saying, what if you get frustrated during your term of service? And it's like, I don't want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you start to recover and you're like, I'm not with this. Like, I didn't sign up for this. Hey, I didn't put a gun to your head and make you sign.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You came to us. So guess what? Your ass is getting deployed to Germany in 06.
Yep.
That got you. That's is that the game? So you can never really play victim because you did it to yourself.
Yeah. And you don't really have any rights to recover anymore because you gave all your rights over. So even if you did start to see the bullshit, it's too late, buddy.
Yeah, you gotta
your
shit. Or you can go, what is it called? AWOL, a dishonorable discharge, and
right. And now you ruined your life, for something for the trinkets, like you said, for the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get out of here, I just want to say every time I go to Atlanta, I feel like I got to get out because if I don't got a scat pat, I don't think I belong out there no more. Everybody got one.
Facts. And I think that we had a good bill. We'll pick up on section 6. I know we got finished up the longest one, so we'll be able to knock this out next week at least. But definitely a great build tonight. Again, that recovery word, we're seeing the need for it, people. And we're seeing how it applies to our past, our present, and it's going to apply to our future. How it will apply to our future, I mean, it's up to us in the present, but we have to do the work now to make sure that we don't have to continue to go through this same shit that was being done in, 1887, that we're still going through now. So we got a lot of work to do, people, but are we going to?
In closing, man, the only thing I would say is just back on this Emmett Till thing real quick. It's comical to me because it's so many of us that's been fucked over by this system. Mm-hmm. And it just shows our ineptitude, the fact that you want to cherry pick somebody from 60 years ago, right? So look at what they're doing. You're less than 2 weeks removed from a man being shot 60 times on video. That's unheard of. But you're not going to address that. You want to do is go back 60 years in the past and say, hey, remember this European woman that lied and they lynched that young black boy? Let's go get her out the nursing home and go and put her on trial. And it's like,
good move by this government.
Mm-hmm. We'll sacrifice that one.
How did they find out this woman was still alive? It didn't take 60 years for them to dig it up. So somebody had already classified her, put her away, and was protecting her. Somebody threw her under the bus. Now niggas so that 60 shots don't matter, or it do matter, but now you feel like you got to win with this one. Yeah, let's lock her up. We're trying to get a W, and that W not gonna really count for it. It does count for sure, because we want justice no matter what. But kudos to whoever threw her under the bus and was like, "Here, y'all go play with that. Y'all go play with that. Don't worry."
And isn't it funny how
young men, I guess what I'm saying is, look how many young men from Emmett Till to the Akron, Ohio shooting that are unjustly incarcerated or unjustly murdered, and you're just going to pick that one case. Right. That's what I'm saying. It shows how weak we are as a group of people.
Narrow-minded too, because it's funny. Did she not do the same thing, or did not that with Jane Roe versus Wade? Wasn't that kind of a similar thing? She lied on some black Americans raping her.
Right.
But we not talking about throwing her ass in prison. It's like all you fuckers need to be dead. Because again, like you see, like they'll pick, well, okay, she's old, we can let go of her. She lied on Emmett Till. We got another European woman lied on some brothers of ours. And now we're gonna use that to distract the point from this new brother in Akron from getting shot 60 times and then handcuffed.
Trophy, dog. They hand trophy, and we got to understand what we seeing when we see shit like that. That comes from me just being a student in history and looking at pictures. You know, anytime they would catch something, they were tied up, take a picture with it. Actually, got locked up one day. I got locked up one day, and it was a bad incident. It was a bad situation, but when I got in trouble and I got caught, I still to this day, it leaves a nasty taste in my mouth, but I got locked up. They transported me wherever. The sheriff comes. I'm still handcuffed. The sheriff wanted to take a picture with me, and I was like, "What the fuck?" You know, and in that time, I didn't know what was going on. Now that I'm deeper into this psychosis game we play, these are like trophies to these guys. Like this nigga, he standing next to me, had another officer take a picture with me and him, and I was like, "Man, why did I just take this picture with you?"
Dang.
You know, where's this picture?
I just want to kind of, I'm gonna keep drilling this because I don't want us to overlook, because we're looking over it because right now it's like we're comatose. I never saw George Floyd's murder on video. I said I would never watch that, and I never have watched it. I've seen Ahmaud Arbery. I've seen a whole bunch of other ones, Philando Castillo, the whole nine. The fact that our group of people are acquiescing to watching somebody get shot 60 times. Let's just touch on that real quick, because that pushes the bar so far out. When you shoot a man 60 times and nobody goes to jail, and as our group of people, nobody has nothing to say. It's like we're fortune telling on this channel, because certain things you can't come back from as a group of people, right? George Floyd, I'm always say, you can't come back from getting nothing from watching that on video. The world saw you riot, but the world also saw you stopped. Now here you are with a worse murder. This man got shot 60 times and then they put handcuffs on him. And people aren't even up in an uproar about those officers going to jail. That's how the whole George Floyd riot started. It was about Derek Chauvin getting arrested for what they showed on video. Now we're numb to that. We're not even pushing that they go to jail. Can y'all talk about the mental illness that we're under in this 2-year period, that we'll just act like that's
it's like we got a gag on our mouths. They don't have to use the gag anymore. We won't say anything regardless at this point. So
and he's your age. Let me throw that in. He's 25. So he's around y'all age. He's got a gun. You don't know if the gun was illegal or not. And they act like everybody that looks like us didn't arm up after Ahmaud Arbery.
25, legal, of age.
Come on.
Doesn't matter, you know.
So that could be y'all easily. I guess what I'm trying to say is when we overlook this, because it was on my generation too. It was, and I hate to say this to y'all, but Generation X, if you made it past 25, that was a huge win. That was in all the rap lyrics. Ice Cube, Tupac, everybody was like, if I make it to 25. Here y'all are 20 years behind me, and we're seeing murders of our own that we didn't see 20 years ago. So I'm more concerned for y'all because y'all fit the profile of what they're killing.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Brown would be your age right now. Trayvon Martin would be your age right now. Philando Castile was your age. Ahmaud Arbery was your age. Botham Jean was your age. Breonna Taylor was your age. You can go, everybody's in your 20s. And I'm more concerned that y'all are not feeling the same way I'm feeling.
Because we didn't see it, and we're still in denial. You saw it and outlived it. We're just now learning what it is. I didn't think it was this bad when I was in high school, maybe because I wasn't as connected. Even when I joined the military, it was kind of still checking in the news, still was who I was, but it still didn't feel this bad. And now it's just like, it's like a cycle now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every physical, every I don't know the cycle, but the trend is set, and this is the target is us. Yeah, I'm gonna agree.
Chief Biko, what would you say about just us we're just trying to blot out that man got shot 60 times and that's unheard of. We just want to act like that didn't happen.
Yeah. I think gotta go back to what Chief Blackcoat was saying earlier. Like, we think it's like as a group of people, it's about the individual. Like you said, not even the individual as far as like the family, but the individual, like the one person himself, like, damn, that's fucked up. But shit, it ain't me, it ain't nobody who I closely associate myself with. So that whole being on code without having to say the code, I think is pretty much dismantled. Like you was talking about last week, when we can go in a neighborhood and know, okay, this is our neighborhood. I'm good in my neighborhood. I'm straight. A lot of folks, it's like, shit, I'm good in my house. I talk to whoever I talk to outside of that, but nah, I don't fuck with these people. Like, so it's like, it don't even hit the same as it would in those, I would say, early 2000s or in the 90s, you know, things of that nature. Because it's like, there is no community. There is no tribe. There is no family. Motherfuckers don't know their neighbors' names. You know? So it's like, yeah, we see it, but we look at it since as a whole, we're looking at an individual mindset. So we're looking at this as an individual, even though we're seeing, like Chief Blackcoat said, the trend every damn month. And it's getting worse as far as the actions, and worse and worse and worse. So it's like, damn, okay, I understand you may think it's individual, but damn, how many individuals until it's a group? You know? So it's like, okay. And we get it on this channel, but it's like, when is that gonna click for the rest of us? Because we could say shit. When we was out there, boots on the ground, it was a lot of your generation, I'd say. Majority of them, Chief Alligator. You know, I don't think it was too many of, you know, folks around myself, Chief Blackcoat, and even Chief Ram age. You know what I'm saying? So
definitely down.
You know, it was more so y'all, because y'all, like you said, you was 25, shit, we good, man. We made it, because shit, we know what we was looking at outside versus now. Ain't nobody outside. We don't know what the fuck we looking at. Everybody off into other things. So
I said, yeah, that's why I care so much, because the older generation, like my parents, you know, they'll look at us, or they'll look at my group and your group, and they'll say, you know, y'all thugging, whatever. That's an excuse for them not doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Turn around and they'll say, well, what are you gonna do about it? Well, my generation was the generation that, like, this wasn't happening. This wasn't happening because we're going your shit. That's just what they could call it whatever they wanted. They can call it that we were thugs or whatever. It wasn't even that. It was the fact that we grew up listening to alpha men through music, which was hip hop when it first started, and our energy was different. And now it's like, you're our kids, right? Everybody in their 20s now, this is Generation X's.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how is it getting? Nothing's changed. It's still a blessing to get past 25 with this group if you're a man. But the murders, Rodney King just got his ass whooped with nightsticks
on camera.
Yeah.
And a lot of punishment around this nation went down because of that. Now we're watching murders of our people and we're doing nothing. I'm just in my head like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. It's like what happened in those 30 years, you could say.
Just go back to George Floyd. What happened in 2 years? Like
2 years, yeah.
How did you go from standing up for seeing George Floyd to now you got a brother driving Uber. You've driven Uber and you've driven Uber to make part-time money.
All right.
Why wouldn't he have a pistol in this climate driving late night, dropping off food? But you're just a thug that had a gun in the car. The gun wasn't on him. The gun was in the car. Let's put that aside. You shot at him 90 times, hit him 60, and then handcuffed him. And we're just supposed to act like that didn't happen. I'm just saying from a self-preservation standpoint, man, regardless of your religious belief, regardless of how old you are, that can't be normal, bro.
Nah, not at all.
That can't be normal, man. You can't shoot a motherfucker 60 times and nothing happens, bro. That y'all help me with that. If I'm crazy, I'll be crazy on that. I'll stand on that, bro. I don't give a fuck who you are. You can't shoot a motherfucker 60 times and just say, oh, there was a gun in the car. That's why we did it.
Nah, it don't matter what the fuck happened. I don't give a fuck. Nah.
Oh, both of y'all got good. That's what I'm trying to say. Like both of y'all.
Yeah, like that shit. The gun shit is.
You can light your car up with 60 rounds.
Yeah, the gun shit is invalid. The gun shit is. Don't even give a fuck about that.
The media control the mind. It goes back to that. The media controls the mind. We don't fight because the TV ain't told us to, and that's why our politicians not coming together to put out those mass messages from people we see as authority. And that wanted to, kind of point my finger at them. And that's why I fuck them, because again, how can somebody get shot 60 times and I don't see one motherfucker that look like me or pretend to be me say anything about it? Not one dog. So it's like, okay, we point the finger at the European a lot, but we're gonna have to make sure we get. I was, we condemn the rat or whatever a rat is. I don't know what we gonna term these politicians. They're past that. We should be pissed at them. Fuck the snitch in the hood.
Damn, I just thought about something, man.
No, you're right on that.
I think I got the answer. GMJ got arrested on May 27th. This man got shot in June. The people who willing to stand up for this group of people, when they watch nobody say nothing at all about how that man is now a political prisoner locked up in the feds, nobody's going, damn, you don't want to get to a place morally where you don't care, but it's almost like we know intuitively it's pointless to do anything for this group of people because they're not going to have your back.
But it's fear-based. It's all fear-based. You're afraid to die. We forgot these type of morals of as human beings. People fought for what they believe in. That was a thing, guys. People fought for what they believed in. Do we believe in absolutely nothing? You niggas walking around talking about Jesus this, Jesus that.
Exactly. Isn't the afterlife supposed to be the goal? So if you shouldn't be afraid to die, if you know what you're standing on is right.
He carried that cross right and got beat the shit out of it and kept like, come on, guys. Like he sacrificed. Do we believe in anything? Are we just pretending ourselves? Are we playing ourselves? But we don't. We'll be back to Chief Biko, individual dog. That ain't me.
I think Jay exposed that. And shout out to Ozone too. It's unfortunate because look at all the dysfunction behind him. He's in jail, still living, and he's got to be on the inside looking out like, wow, like this group of people, like they can't organize to even help him. We won't organize to even help Jay. So it's a fucked up place to be when you don't want to stand for yourself because you know you're not going to be supported by your people. That's a fucked up place to be.
We will have to walk away from our lifestyles, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to organize for this cause, we have to be prepared to walk away from our lifestyles, whatever that life may be. That's the only way that the fight could go forward. Or I like how you said one day, fight at night, go to work in the morning. But we have to understand there's going to be a fight. Yeah, you got to get punched in the mouth. And we deserve to get punched in the mouth because not right at this point, we're being disrespectful as a group. We're kind of just family get picked off and we're turning the blind eye, including myself. It's almost like we know we come from tribes, nations, those are our people. This is the family, and we just don't get it yet.
Until it's your cousin.
And
unfortunate. It'll have to be your cousin that got shot 60 times, and then you realize, oh shit, I don't have an NAACP. I don't have a Black Caucus. I don't have anybody to go to.
Right.
That is, we're on a timeline. It's just a matter of time before it hits my family, your family, your family. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's not gonna stop. One cop a day kill, or a person dies a day by the hands of a cop. Yeah, man. Good build tonight, though.